Hello buddies, welcome to CG Byte. In last session we discussed about my desert car scene, which was this. And in this session we are going to break down my forest scene, which is this. So for this, let's jump into Blender. So this is the empty scene from my file. All these collections are here. So we will discuss about all collections one by one. So first of all, I am just enabling my environment here. So for environment, I created just this cube and then sculpted this. So then I just jump into geometry nodes. So this is the basic, as I created all in my desert scene. This is everything same here. So this upper one is for grass, then this is for stone, and this is also for stones. So you can see this is how this is looking now. Very simple, and I just only place the grass where the camera is looking, so that will not make my scene much heavy, because these grasses and all trees are very high quality and also animated. So if I put that in everywhere, so that will obviously make my file so much heavy, and it's very difficult to work on that kind of file. So be careful, just plan everything before started your project. You must know what are you going to do, and what is your limitations and what is your strength. So make sure to write everything or plan everything before starting the project. Surface here, as in desert, I use 3 or 4 textures for surface. Here I also used three textures for a desert. So let me break down one by one. So first of all, I am just disabling my geometry nodes. Okay, so here is my ground. So first, this is the first texture I am going to show you here, so you can see that clearly. So this is the first texture of leaves, and another texture I used here is this mud texture, wet mud texture. So I used that in the road surface, and third one also is the green mud texture where some moss on the ground. So I mixed these all by this polygon PBR mixture. These are the node from Blender Guru. So I mixed this all with this, and final result I got this. So this is my final result. For mask, I just painted a mask in Blender. You can see that is okay. Here it is. This is the road alpha. This is the mask I painted in Blender, and I used this for the other two texture variations. So this is a simple noise texture, and for final, this is the final texture. So must use 3 or 4 textures and mix them to create some good result. So if I used only one texture, it will look boring and not look so good. So this is all for the here ground here, and just enabling. And then now I am going to talk about my tree system here. So for tree, I use this vegetation collection. So if I enable this, you can see these are the all trees. These stones I used for geometry nodes, so that's why these are all on the side, and these grass also used for geometry nodes. So these are all trees. These are from vegetation add-ons. So this is all trees are animated. These are not low polys. This is some quite heavy, and you can see. So if I play, you can see these all are animated, and these trees are also spreaded like where the camera angle, according to camera angle. So not a single tree is out of the camera vision. So for the horizon part, like where you can see through the trees, I used HDRI instead of planting trees, because that will make my scene heavy, as I told you before. So I used HDRI to fill the background with the greenery. So this is all tree system. So if I disable this both grass and, so this is this grass I use is too much heavy, but this is also animated, so that's why I disabled by default in the viewport. So this is all my tree system here. Then I used the car here. I rigged this in Blender, and this is the car I used. Again I animate this on a path which is shrink wrapped on the surface, and you can see this is how the car animated. This car is heavy because it has a collision system enabled, and also the floor has a collision system enabled. That's why the scene is too much heavy. And this is the car animation. So for the water simulation, I need to add collision to the car so that the water can interact with the car. So I just created a proxy which look like something this look funny, but this is very effective if you are going to create some car animations or any kind of animation, but you have to enable the collision for that. If I enable the collision system with the car, so I don't think so that Blender can handle that. So I have to create a simple geometry for this collision system. So that is also working. So I used flip fluid to create water simulation, and the drawback of that add-on, you can't use parented collision system. So if this is parented to the car, then the water will not consider this as a collider, so water will not collide with this, so you have to animate that manually. So water can only collide with animated objects, not with the parented object or simulated objects. So we have to animated this by hand, frame by frame. But the other thing is that you can bake the animation. You can parent this to the car first, then bake the animation on the this surface like F3 and bake action. So this will automatically bake your key, remove the parent and bake all animation on the object. So this is very easy process, instead of doing all stuff hand by one by one keyframing all on by hand. So this is all for the car, and then I just disable this, and finally we will talk about water simulation. So here is the flip fluid add-on data, and if I enable this, you can see my water. I don't think why this is not showing. I don't know, sorry. Okay, here it is. No, this I use this surface here and converted this to the fluid, and this is the collider with the fluid, and then created another domain for this, and this I think I have so this is the file, that was a wrong file. So this is no, that is the same file, but in that file the water simulation was not there. So I created another version of that file and did all water simulations here. Always create a backup while going to the further steps. So if I used only one file for everything, so by mistake if anything happened, and I will lose all the data, and I have to create everything from the start. So instead of doing this, you can also do step-by-step process, and in every step you can take a backup of your file so that you can't lose your data. So this is the main water simulation. You can see this is very much heavy. I will show you the settings for this domain of the water. Okay, let me select the domain first. Let it first back to response. Okay, the now file is responding, so just go to select object and select domain. So the domain is selected, I think. And now if I go to here, yeah, so in domain setting I use the resolution 500 and also use the white water simulation, so very basic values here. And I used I think where it is, oh, here, particle form, yeah, I use this, enable this viscosity, because without this the water is jumping too much, so I have to just put some viscosity like 0.001 here, so that it will stick to the ground and the car. So first I just increase the friction of water, but that was not worked, so I removed that. So this is all the basic settings of my car scene. I just added two suns, like this is the main source of light from where the main light is getting on the ground, and this is the soft light which is blue color, and this is of white color. So this is working as a sun and this is working as an environment. So I use the HDRI to fill up the background. So this is all for this file. And I think this first I did render with the motion blur, but here is too much animated stuff like plants and grass, car, water, everything is animated. So the blender took like 3.2 minutes to render one frame, but also that frame is look blurred because of motion blur. So then I cancelled that and decided to do motion blur in After Effects, and I disabled the disabled motion blur in rendered blender, like, yeah, here is disabled. And I did this on sampling 50 sample, and now without motion blur it look more sharp renders. And I used the standard color for the standard color space for rest of the scene. And after the rendered like this car is white color, and I see that the white look very flat, so all texture data lost in the white color. So I have to re-rendered all full car again in the filmic, and then compositing in blender, oh sorry, in After Effects. So in compositing I again did just simple denoised. Okay, and then after all rendering I jumped into DaVinci for the color correction, and then I jumped into After Effects like this is the final scene. So if I did breakdown for this scene, you can see, yeah, this is the files from the DaVinci Resolve. And then I put just enable this full view. Okay, then I put some color correction on this, like very subtle effect, but looks good. And then I just rendered this, like now if I zoom on the car, you can see this is looks good with white color, but before it looked like this, so it looked completely vanished. So I did re-rendered again the car, and with the filmic. Other scene is with the standard color space, but the car is with filmic color space, so that it look good with the shadow or other texture data. And that's all for the car. And then I put the motion blur on this I think where it is, yeah, on this file, so that it look like the water will not look bad. So in motion blur the all particles blend to each other and looks very good. But if there is no motion blur, so they look like spheres jumping around here and there. So this is all about the car scene. So if I enabled my another like this, so if I disabled this, you can see this is before color correction here, and this is with color correction. So you can see the difference here. And that's all for this car scene. And then I combined both scene. Oh, so this is the alpha I created for masking the car upper body to create a white color effect. And then this is the main color main composition where I composed both scenes here. And also I downloaded all music from YouTube ads, like some jungle ambient and forest ambient, and then car splashes moving through the water and some engine noise, and mixed that all, and I created this. So that's all for this forest scene. If you want further tutorials for this kind of stuff, you can also visit to my Instagram account, and you can see my work, check my work. And if you want something to get breakdown of, you can also mention me, like this is all animation. If you also want to learn animation, so I will also create that. So if you want to VFX something like this, so this doll is all mouth is all fully created in Blender, so you can see. If you want to also this kind of work, you can DM me, or also if for more knowledge and for more stuff, you must consider subscribe. So this is all stuff you can take a look at free time. So that's all for the car scene, and must subscribe YouTube channel, and also follow the Instagram, so you can get a latest update about my work. So I am going soon I am going to create some animation, like not a simple animation. If you check on YouTube, there are very simple animation tutorials, but I am going to do some advanced animations. Going to do some breakdowns first for the animations, then I go to these animations for games, how to create this kind of animations. And also you can see this is the animation I created for client. So I'm going to do all the stuff for in coming months, so make sure to subscribe to get more about the Blender and here other systems. So that's all, see you in the next session.